Okay, so the number one mistake that you make is that you don't have a clear ICP, which is probably the same mistake you would make in your go-to-market motion for your software product, right? And what that specifically means, particularly as your community grows in interest, is that you let too many different kinds of people join. Everywhere we see and I see, the number one mistake I made with Pavilion was letting too many different kinds of people join too early. And we had a very clear ICP at the beginning, and then it became a little bit more diffuse, right? And that weakens the experience for everybody else because fundamentally, what you're trying to create with a community is a trusted conversation. You're trying to bring people together so they can share common experiences. But if there is no common experience, if there is no shared experience, if the people have different motivations and incentives, if some of the people are consultants trying to sell to the other people in the community, and some of the people are founders of the category and they build software of the category that community exists to support, and then you have actual operators that are trying to solve real problems in that category, there's a conflict. There's a conflict, and ultimately it erodes trust. And again, that word is so important because in a world of AI, every single action we take either enhances or erodes trust. And and I have to be very cognizant. We as a community, we as a group of leaders, we have to be very cognizant that every action we take, it either enhances or erodes trust. So the number one failure, too many different kinds of people. You know, it's very funny. I got a message from a guy in London one time who was starting a running club. And I think he called it like VC running club. And I like to run. So he was asking me about the lessons learned from building Pavilion. And he said, I'm getting some interest in this running club, but not everybody's exactly a VC. Some of them are private equity. Some of them are just operators. What do you think I should do? And this is extremely niche, this TAM, this total addressable market. VCs in London that like to run. Maybe it's not that niche, but certainly it's pretty specific. And I said, I think that you wanted to call it VC running club. I think you need to tell the people that are not VCs that unfortunately it's not for them and that they should start a GTM operator running club if they wanted to. And he came back to me a couple of months later. He said, that was the best advice I received because I had a sense that I wanted it to be bigger. And by the way, that's why you're going to let all these people in. That's why you're going to stray from the ICP because you're going to want growth. You're going to say, isn't 5,000 people better than 1,000 people? Aren't 500 people better than 100? And I think we have to be very careful about how quickly we grow communities. Again, think about it as a brand investment. Think about it as an investment in the trust of the message that you put out to the market and whether you can be trusted as an organization in an authentic way. So if you grow too quickly, you erode the trust. The biggest mistake, although you can sign up online for Pavilion, but the biggest mistake I've made running Pavilion is creating that self-signup. And when we're actively talking about removing it, because how can you have an exclusive club if anybody can join it by just signing up online? So lesson number one is no clear ICP.
Just out of curiosity, Sam,
Yeah.
How do you guys go through new members then today?
Well,
Self-sign up.
so the original way that we did it was that everybody had to apply and you had to be interviewed. Then we went through a period where we created self-sign up and I raised money and I made this mistake of chasing growth and the ICP faltered. And we even did things like discounts. So we would do like discounts for if you were unemployed, we would do a discount. It was classic short-term thinking versus long-term thinking. And the quality of the community was a little bit diluted. And beginning in January, first thing we're going to do is we've instituted a wait list. So if you're not ICP, we put you on a wait list. And we're intentional about saying Pavilion is designed for in-seat go-to-market operating executives. And if you are a fractional consultant, a service provider, these are all people that used to not be able to join at all. They go onto a wait list. And we have a sales team. We have an enrollment team that is helping people get enrolled if they're not sure how to do it. But self-signup still does exist. It's just that we route you to a specific flow if you're not ICP. But at some point in the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to turn that off too. And we're really just going to be focused on these are the people that we think should be in the community. And I'm going to take my own medicine and my own advice.
Yeah. I know it might be slightly different because your business is the community and a lot of our founders, it's their focus or their business is selling software or AI or what have you. What kind of recommendation would you give if a founder or a startup has different types of ICPs that may not necessarily have a lot of perceivable overlap? Let's say you sell to e-commerce and as one ICP, And then there's another one for commercial banking, perhaps.
So I think two things. The first, and there's two options here. The first is center on pick the ICP that represents the plurality of your customer base. Most people, each of those doesn't bite equally. There's probably a core use case or a core ICP. The second thing I would say is make it very clear in your messaging and in the kinds of conversations that you curate and the content that you curate or create that there's some common theme. Yes, we're from different backgrounds, but we're here to talk about X, Y, and Z because that's common across all of these. And make sure that you enforce that commonality and make it very clear. One of the most famous communities, I suppose, is this organization called Chief. Chief is for female executives. It's for women. Now, in Chief, there's the head of the general counsel for American Airlines, and there's the head of HR for SAP. And then there's the senior vice president of merchandising for Saks Fifth Avenue. They're not talking about the functional aspects of their job every day. What they're talking about is what it means to be a female professional facing the kinds of challenges that they face. So that's okay if one filter of the ICP doesn't self-identify against those different filters, but you need to make it clear what the shared experience is.